Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ramirez and this is my very first edition of my Night Before News presentation, exclusively focused on listening and reading. This is your next exam in Spanish on the 10th of June, so there's not a lot of time. And the idea of this presentation is for you to have some strategies, clear tips that you can use when you are sitting your listening and reading exam. Remember that both exams happen on the same day. So you need to be very aware of what you can do and how to hopefully get the best result out of these two exams, which I'm sure you will. It's important to remember that this is your second couple of exams, so this is going to be 25% listening, 25% reading. You already did at 25% by completing your speaking, which, if you remember, that wasn't that long ago, but the experience overall for the majority of you was quite positive. So the idea is to keep up that track. If you had a positive experience with your speaking, then definitely my biggest advice is to just keep working hard, keep revising in order to keep up what you already did. So and if you feel like you didn't have a very good experience with your speaking, now this is the time to maybe get back on track, and you still have higher chances to get a very good result. Okay, so please do not relax. There's still lots to do. There's still time for you to revise and work hard. So just keep up doing that. Okay. So as I said, this is going to be only focused on listening and reading. Okay. So first of all, it's really important to remember that you are not the only one doing this exam. There will be hundreds of students around your age doing this exam, and there will be loads feeling exactly the same thing. Oh, I don't get this. What was that? I missed that. And maybe there is a text you're not fully understanding, and that is normal. Okay, just take your time. You have plenty of time for the exam to do the listening and the reading, so use the time wisely. Okay, and do not panic. It's okay in the listening one to not understand the entire audio or the whole text in the reading. You are not expected to do that, okay? So the exams are designed for you to pick up the keywords, key phrases that are useful to find the answers. It's all about that, and also it's all about educated guesses. So remember that you have had loads of time learning Spanish, and there will be things that you will remember maybe on the moment, maybe very recently, but you have loads of vocabulary already. Okay, so use that and take some guesses if you think you need to. And please remember, and I'm going to repeat this several times in this presentation, do not leave blanks. Leaving blanks in the listening and reading exams is not a very intelligent idea, okay? Because you always can put an answer. You know that the answers in these two papers are usually quite short. Sometimes you have fill in the gaps, so you can all do that. You have multiple choice questions, so you can all do that. So please do not leave blanks. We're going to start with the listening. A very quick look at the listening and some tips. First of all, you know that you have 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes really matter. Okay, use them wisely. Don't just sit there waiting for the time goes. Use the 5 minutes. How are you going to use it? We have seen this in class, but it's a good opportunity now to remember. So make sure you read the questions. So go through the paper, read all the questions, especially the ones written in Spanish at the end. Okay, so you know what is the instruction, or in the best way possible, try to have a look at the instructions, see what options you have, and what kind of words you need to answer those questions. Okay, so have a look at the instruction of every question, but especially the ones that that are written, in Spanish. Really important as well is to identify, highlight or underline if you can, the language you need to use to answer some questions. Some questions you need to and you must answer in English, others you must answer in Spanish. So make sure you're using the right language. It's very sad to see how students have the right answer written in the wrong language and therefore they don't count. Make notes. This is super important, and we have practiced this in lesson as well. This can be the key for a better grade. Literally, it could help you to get a better grade. So you make sure that you take notes, write around the questions, write around the answers, what translation you think you need. Think about those words that you struggle the most and try to think about those and translate those first. Make some family words or linking words. For example, if you see in one of the questions the word deportes, that you know that means sport, in the listening you might not hear necessarily the word deportes, but you might listen to football, baloncesto, volleyball, rugby. Those linking words can help you to get the answer. Okay, so do not expect to necessarily hear the literal translation. Predict, we have done this in this lesson as well. Sometimes, I know this might sound crazy, but you can answer a whole question getting good chances to get the answer right by just write down what you think is the correct answer from the options you are given without even listening to the audio yet. So use that time as well to get some predictions into your paper. You can make little notes, little writings, so obviously don't use the line for the answer, but make sure you do some predictions around the answer. So I'm going to show you some examples of some questions and how to address these questions. So this is what I mean by family and linking words. So for example, here you can see that it says holidays in Tenerife. Blah is talking about his holidays. Answer the following questions in English. So that is the first point. You need to understand that you will understand that you must use English in this case. So make sure you make a note of that. Now, you also can have some ideas here because it says holidays, and you might want to make a note in your 5 minutes to put around the word holiday vacaciones, which is fine because that means holiday in Spanish is vacaciones. However, it's a good idea to put some linking words or family words, like for example, agosto. Why is that? Because people tend to go on holiday in that time of the year when it's summer. Or the Spanish for summer, verano. So is sometime, yes, it's good to put the translation on some keywords, but also if you have the time, make notes of other words that can be linked to the idea, because those might be the ones that you will hear in the audio. Okay. Also, we have here, why does he like to go into Tenerife? It says in letter B there. Think first about the question context. You can make notes about the weather or family. Yes, those could be the reasons. So the question says, why does he like to go to Tenerife? Before listening to the audio, one of your notes could be the Spanish for the word weather, tiempo or clima, or maybe familia, because those could be good reasons why he wants to go to Tenerife. Okay, so that is prediction, but also you are making notes that are related to the keyword in the question and not necessarily a literal translation. So that is a good point there to consider. Connectives and intensifiers. The listening paper and the reading as well have this in common. They like to use connective and intensifiers to direct you to the right answer, but at the same time they use them to trick you first. So you need to pay attention to those. In this case, we have the question climate change, and it says, listen to this report about climate change in Spanish. What do you find out? So first of all, we know that we need to answer in English, it says there, and also it says that we don't need full answers, so short answers are accepted. But look at the letter C. It says Spanish for but, however, nevertheless, might direct you to the right answers. So the question says, who is the most concerned by climate change? So they might say something like, el gobierno está muy preocupado, sin embargo, las personas son las que tienen una mayor preocupación. So we can hear government could be the answer, but then the audio might say sin embargo, however, so that will direct you to the final answer. So please don't jump onto the first Spanish word you understood, wait for those connectives, and then take the chance for the answer you think is the correct one. Okay, because they like to use those connectives, as I said, to direct you to the answer, but at the same time to confuse you, because they will use something something you know really well first, and then they will use a connective to say the right answer at the end. Okay, so make sure you make some notes around, in this kind of question, who is the most concerned, because it says most concerned, and I would suggest you to put words like sin embargo, pero, además, no obstante, which are all connectives that can change the idea of the audio around here. Okay? Intensifiers are also quite important because sometimes the questions are who is the most, who is the least. So you need to wait for el más or el menos. Okay? A very simple example could be me encantan las matemáticas, pero la asignatura que más me gusta es en inglés. So you have I love math, but the subject that I like the most is English. So you wait for más or menos, which might direct you to the right answer. Educated guesses. So this is crucial as well. Look at this question. It says, mis asignaturas, and it says, this is all in Spanish, so this could be one of the questions you get at the end. It says, Nacho habla de sus asignaturas. Rellena el espacio de cada frase con una palabra del recuadro. Hay más palabras que espacios. So first of all, it's important to consider that there are more words than gaps. Okay? Now, this is the kind of question that you can have 50-50% right, 50-50 possibilities to get it right without even listening to the audio. If you look at the letter A, it says Nacho odia las. I underline the word las because that's the key part in this part. I don't need to know anything else than las. If I understand the rules in Spanish, I will know that las, I need to match the next word with a plural idea because las is plural, means the, but the plural form of the. So what options I have from the box? Matemáticas o ciencias. So I only have two options that work in there, nothing else. Nacho hates math or science. I can put French because you can see there is French here as well because French is a singular noun. I know it ends with S, but you know at this point that French is a singular noun. However, science and math are the only subjects that are plural. Therefore, it could be either one or the other. So this is the kind of question where you can make a note around the answer, obviously not using the gap yet, or make a note on the potential answer. So I would put maybe the letter A next to math and the letter A next to science. So then I just need to listen to the audio and choose correctly. But even if I miss the audio completely, I just take a guess and I go for math or science. Same happened with letter B. Letter B says, la asignatura favorita de Nacho es él. So we got the L underlined there because it's asking me for something that is singular and masculine. So it could be francés, yeah, that works well, or it could be deporte, sport. It might not be PE, as in educación física, but some people call deporte, sport, the subject. So it could be either because both are singular and masculine. Okay, so again, I can just have a guess there and just put an answer. I have 50% chances to get it right without even listening to the audio. Letter C says, en música siempre saca, and then the keyword here is notas. You should know by now that notas is not notes, it means grades or marks. Okay, essentially grades. So it could be one of these two adjectives, good or bad. Again, I need to pick one of those without listening to the audio yet. I can guess it, and maybe 50% of my chances is correct. Might be the other 50, hopefully not, but then that's why I have the listening. I wait for the listening to get my final answer. Letter D says, para Nacho, for Nacho. The keyword here is en inglés. So you know that English means English, so it's asking me about what is hard in English for him. So I've got the option writing or reading. Again, without even listening to the audio, I can choose one of those two. Finally, letter E, the keyword is futuro, as in the idea of the future. Literally says in the future he wants to be. In this case, it's the only case where I have three options. Working in informatics, like in computing, being a firefighter, or an architect. Unfortunately, here I have three options. So my guesses are less likely to get it right. I still have a 33% to get it right, but obviously I still have the audio to listen to where I can take my final decision. Okay? The reason why I'm showing you this, as in predicting the potential answer, is because in the audio, they like to use most of the time words that are not necessarily here. Okay, for example, instead of deporte, they will say baloncesto. Instead of science, they might say biología, química, física, biology, chemistry, or physics. Therefore, if I have already a predicted answer, at least I know what I need to pay attention on in the listening when it's my time to listen to this audio. Okay, but again, even if I miss completely the whole thing, I can get 50% to get it right. Okay, so please remember, educated guesses can work really well because you already know loads of stuff here. Make sure that you pay attention to the endings, okay, or some keywords like the ones I underlined there before you take your guess. And obviously then you listen to the audio and take your final answer. The reading paper now. So the reading paper, please remember that the questions are aligned with the text. So question 1 or question A will be normally in the very first lines of the text you will see. So the answers will be found. You will find them at the beginning of the text. It's important to always read the questions first, okay? So don't waste time trying to understand everything that is in a text, because these texts are designed in a way that you shouldn't know necessarily everything. So read the question first before attempting to understand or scan the text in the question. Check the language again. Some questions are required to be answered in English, others in Spanish. Let's start with some tips. So the first tips is the negatives. It's really important to find those negative words in the text, because those can direct you as well to the right answer. Spanish for no, for nunca, for nada, tampoco, ningún, ninguna, nadie. All these words, you should know them by now, but if not, these are the classic no negative expressions. And look at this question. It says, read the article. And the question says, what stopped Nico from joining the orchestra? So stop already is something that maybe stopped happening, or this idea of negative definitely is important to find the answer. So looking at the text and looking at the top of the first paragraph, because I know this is question A, so the answer must be on the first paragraph, and actually might be at the very beginning or around the first line. So let's see. So okay, I underlined the word stopped because I need to find what stopped him to joining the orchestra. And okay, so the answer is in the first paragraph, but not on the first two lines, which is fine, because the first two lines says the famous Nico Suarez won the contest, the music contest in Valencia after the director, full stop. Then the director of the orchestra, a very important director of orchestra, invited him to play with them. So that is giving us the context. Nico said no. Nico said no. So that's why I framed the word no there. Because there is another negative here. He hasn't finished the school yet. Okay, so that is the answer. So the reason why he didn't join the orchestra is because he hasn't finished school. We were close to the answer because we knew, these are negative ideas. No and no. Okay? Because the keyword was what stopped him. So finding the negatives in a text is really important. Really important, guys. So make sure, look for the question first, as I said, identify the keyword, and then go to the text, go to the right place, more or less. Question A, so first paragraph, definitely 100% the answer will be in the first paragraph. And then look for some negatives in order to answer this question. Now, I'm not saying that all the question you need to find the negatives, but it's very important in case you haven't revised negatives yet, please do, because some questions require you to understand these ideas of never, nothing, neither, no, nobody. Okay. The most and the least. Another thing that in the reading paper they like to use a lot, because some questions are exclusively addressing, some questions really like you to identify who is the most, who is the least, what is the most, what is the least. Okay. And in this case, we've got the best. Okay, so what is the best thing? So obviously it's not the most, in this case it's the best, but it's the same sort of idea. And if you look at the line here, it says, it's asking you about the best thing about Anna's hotel room. Okay, so by now you should know that room is habitación. So here's the line about the room. And she says, mi habitación está en el tercer piso. And you might understand already that the room is on the third floor. But that's not the best thing. Yeah, it's a description of that, but it's not the best thing. Now we have y lo mejor. So you see, there's a connective and the best. Okay, the best. Y lo mejor es la vista. So that is the view. So that is the right answer. So don't jump onto conclusion just because you understood that this means the third floor. That is not the right answer. The right answer is what happens next when she says the best. So keep those in mind. Again, family and linking words. This is quite interesting as well, because they like to trick you, but you are not going to fall for those tricks because you are way clever than that. So it says, this is the text, and the first question is asking you what Marta is, as in what job does she have. So you've got lawyer, architect, nurse, and just, it says funcionaria, which is like a generic term for any sort of worker. And then we look at the text. So I know first I need to find the job for her. Okay, and then I look at the text. So I read the question first, then go to the text. This is the first question. So the answer must be first paragraph, potentially at the beginning of the text. It says, I am Marta and I'm 23 years old. I work for a company designing houses. So there is the key. That is the answer. So the word designer is not here, but you know by now that casas mean houses. So who can design houses out of this four option is arquitecta. Okay, so this is the kind of question where you don't find a literal answer in the text, but you will find something that is linked to the answer. It doesn't say architect, but it says designing houses. And we all have this common knowledge that the people that design houses out of those four options is the architect. Connectives again. I've got a list of 4 connectives here. Aunque, sin embargo, pero, no obstante, you know them very well. And the question says what he prefers. Now, look at this. It says question 5. Okay, so I didn't need the others because this is the one I need to show you this example or this tip. It says Ramiro prefers. We got food, music, dance, clothes. So you by now have answered 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're looking 5. So this must be at the last paragraph. So it says, me encanta ir al festival. I love going to the festival. The best is dancing, but this is super important. We have a but here. But of course, songs and guitar are fantastic. So we understand that he likes dancing, but the intention of the text is to tell us what he prefers. I mean, the question is about what he prefers. And the text intention here using this connective is to tell us that even though he likes that, there is something more important for him because he's saying but. But of course, songs and guitar are fantastic. Okay, so the right answer in this case, after identifying that connective, should be music and not dancing. Okay, because it's what he prefers. And we need to go with that intention. We need to identify that intention of the text. Now, this is the kind of question that you will find at the end, guys, for both higher and foundation, because everything is written in Spanish, as you can see. It says, well, the title will be in Spanish, but then it says, read the blog. That is written in Spanish. So this is one of the most challenging type of questions. But again, I'm trying to tell you what you need to pay attention on, okay? And in this case, the connective is essential because that directs us to the right answer. All right, guys, and this is our final slide. So in this one, I just want to put an example here of how you still can get marks without even understanding a whole text. I deliberately put this question here and I removed the text, okay? So all that we have is the questions and the gaps, and you know what to do here. So you just need to put the words in the gaps according to the text. But let's have a go answering this question without having the text. So the first one says, the restaurant is in the, and you only have 2 options, countryside or town, nothing else. So my advice is to, if you don't understand the text at all, just pick one of those 2 because those are the only ones that make sense, all right? Because you still have 50-50 to get it right. The second one says the restaurant opens every, two options, evening or weekend, nothing else. Okay, obviously then you corroborate your answer by looking at the text, but again, if you don't understand anything at all, you still can have a chance to get it right. Letter C, you have three options: meat, fish, salad. Okay, and why you might say, oh sir, but there is cakes there and there is ice cream as well. Where is ice cream? Oh, here. Yes, but if you look at letter D, the children menu include, by you just using logic, I would imagine that the children menu might include one of those two, because that is the class. I mean, children like dessert. So I'm guessing here, guys. I still have the text to where I can compare my answers, but I'm taking a guess, and that's what I want you to do in the case of not understanding the text at all. Guess for something, go for an educated guess and put an answer there. It's a very simple thing to do. You still might get it right, and you only have 50% to get it wrong in most of these questions. Look at the very last one, letter E. You only have two options. The restaurant is big or small. So if I don't know the Spanish for small or big, which is not your case because I know you do, I still can go for one of these two answers and put it there and potentially get it right. So this is my advice for both, and this is my last slide as well, guys. So for both listening and reading, do not leave blanks, please. Have a look at the answers, what makes more sense, then check the text or listen to the audio and then get your final answer. But even in the very rare scenario you are not understanding nothing at all, you still can get some marks by having an educated guess. Okay, so I will see you. We still have time to revise. I know this goes before the exam. You're gonna listen to this, but by then you will be definitely more prepared. And I'm sure you're gonna do a great job, guys, because you've been working really, really hard. I see you working in lessons, and remember, you already did a big part by completing your speaking. And as I said, the majority of you had a very positive experience with that. So just keep up with that hard work for these next two exams. And obviously then we're gonna have time to prepare for the writing. But all the best, guys. You are amazing. I've been enjoying teaching you Spanish. I know I just joined you in December, but it's been a great experience for me, and I hope you have learned a lot. Just keep working hard, put the last effort, and use the time wisely. Yeah, in the listening, use the 5 minutes wisely. In the reading, you shouldn't have much time left at the end of the exam where you can just relax. You must use the whole time. The exam is designed to last what it lasts. So make sure you read again, read the question again, check your answers again and again and again until the very last minute, okay? You will be great. You are an amazing lot, guys. So all the best. This is Mr. Ramirez, and I hope you have a nice evening.